know. I thought me eating tea days was kind of over. Yo, what is cracking? Are we ready to go live? Are we ready to get into the content? Sherry Covington. What's up, Sherry? What's up, Quince Randolph? Ebony. Katie. Jorge. What's up, man? Supreme. JD. Drink a lot of what, JD's something in the air, man. A lot of people's throats have been having issues, even mine's. Been having to drink a lot of water. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what it is, man? It's crazy because I was fine until I started talking. You know, I guess when I'm prepping, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just down here prepping, you know what I'm saying? Speaking of talking, what's up with Honestly Talking? And Blue Ebony and Trust No Party. Yeah. Alonzo, what's up? What's up, Lonzo? Yo. Yeah, we're going to get into it, fam. I ain't going to hold you. We're going to get into it, though. We're going to get into it. Let's get started. Let's jump off because it gets late quick. And I want to thank my moderators once again, Bug Bewley and Black Mama, for doing what they do. We're looking for, I want another slide. I'm looking for another person who wants to become a moderator of the show, Johnson. So, folks, hit me up. You know how to DM me on any social media platform. Just put in the title, Chat Mod. And you can also email me if you want. That's Tim at timblacktv.com, because that would be dope. What else? That's it. Let's go, man. We got a lot to cover. Well, we got some interesting content to cover. It's going to take some time. But let's get into it, man. I'll make it worth your while. Right here, let's go. Tim Black Show. Let's go.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
And you are now facing a federal charge, though. Are you afraid of what's going to transpire now?
You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, you fight on. When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on, oh, you fight on.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Yeah, folks, this is some hopelessly horrible type of deflection and distraction. The New Jersey representative here, McIver, is kind of trying to put together here. And a lot of people are not falling for it, but of course, there'll be some, you can just give a cheap old narrative and they'll ride with it because that's how they're conditioned to flow because they watch corporate media. Folks, one thing I can't stand is an activist, a person that tries to do an activist action, then thinks there's no repercussion for the activist action. Then complains that you only attacking her because they're black. Man, look, I've been black a long time. I know when there's a line you could cross and a line you don't cross. Anybody here ever been to a protest? If you've been to a protest, you'll know there's things that get you locked up. When you do those things, you can get in trouble. We all grown-ass people. Miss McIver, she's a very grown woman. She's way over 18. The things she did at the protests or whatever, the things that got her, that have her looking at jail time, possible jail time, she did those things intentionally, Johnson. You know, it's what it is, man. You know, I'm not saying she's supposed to admit it, but I'm saying, man, it sounds like a bunch of BS when you watch the film, folks. For proof, check it out. Don't believe me, believe your lying eyes. Get me out the way. Let's see what we can do. This is her in the red. See her pushing the ICE official? Do you see this? Are we witnessing this? One more time. See? Look where she is now. Look what she starts doing. She shoved the police guy in the back. See that? It's almost like a punch.
Do you see?
You see what I'm saying here, John? See, this the problem we have, man. This is the problem that we have. We have a problem where people will not keep it real. I just saw it. You just saw it. We saw it together. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, conservative or progressive or liberal or Marxist or communist or whatever you are. We all have the vision. If we are blessed, we all have the ability to see things. We all could see she was being aggressive. She was assaulting officers. Folks, she did more than Ryan Hinton did. That's all I'm saying. She did more than Ryan Hinton did. And before you bring up January 6th, that's why I brought up that. Because, see, I care more about what happened to Ryan Hinton than I care about those January 6ers who went to jail, some of them for years. People forget that. They act like no one went to jail. They went to jail. Some people went to jail for years. I'd like to see you go for jail for a weekend and see how you feel. They went to jail for a while before they got pardoned, okay? Or sprung or whatever. But what I'm saying is, back to the point, man, the thing is this, man, she's wrong. She is wrong. She put her hands on the ICE and the police, pushing them and shoving them. You don't do that's jail. Like, you could say I slipped, I fall, I lost my balance. But what you can't say is I didn't do anything. Can't say that because we see it. When you lay hands on an officer, they can charge you. Now, they can choose to look the other way and not charge you for it. They could say, oh, well, what the hell? Let's let it go or it's not going to cure. They could look the other way if they wanted to. That's what we call a prerogative. But if they choose not to look the other way and they choose to charge you, you did do it. You can't say, I ain't do nothing. You can't say they're trying to trump up charges. They're going after me because of my political affiliations. They're doing it because I'm a woman or black or straight or LGBTQ or Muslim or Palestinian or Asian or whatever it is, man. Whatever, or white, straight white male. She's not, but that's now a grievance center. The straight white male thing is now a grievance now. Yeah, the one group that's been killing it historically in the country is now the most aggrieved group, says Tucker Carlson, and for some strange reason, Jason Whitlock. My point is this, y'all. She did that. Okay, that's what she did. That's what I'm looking at you do it. It's right there. But see, the Democrats going Democrat, and they're going to make this about blackness. And not just the black Democrats either. You know, the guy that's always ornery and prickly, James Carville. Listen to James Carville describe what we just saw. We just saw it. Listen to how James Carville and R.A. Melber describe this. Yeah, but I got to get you.
A line crossed here, and what is the way for your party to deal with it?
Well, so many lines have been crossed, so many lines have been erased. I don't even know if there are any lines left. For me, and this is my personal opinion, I think they went after her, and I think her race has something to do with it. I'll just flat out say that.
You're of the view, and it's my job. I'll let you finish. It's my job, James. Yeah, no, but it's my job to ask you to substantiate it. But you're of the view. Well, I'll let you finish. You're of the view that you're asserting that the Trump administration or DOJ is targeting her racially. Why do you assert that?
Because that's what they're about. And they're trying to show it's us against them. They talk about the blood of America and the poisoning of blood. And they talk about this kind of stuff. Again, let me be very clear. I don't have any proof, but if you ask me, do I think that's what happened? Yes, I think that's what happened. I think if it was a white congressperson, they would not have arrested her.
To have oversight over a facility and the...
Now look, guys, look, this is where things get bad, right?
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
We can't call a thing in this country anymore because we got to choose sides. And we can't let that be based on anything that's just cut and dry, very basic. Yes, Representative McIver is a black woman. But a random black woman was not chosen out of the crowd. Wasn't like we're just going to just some black woman over there at the taco stand or picking up her kids from the daycare. Somebody just pulls up and harasses her out the blue. It's not like she was driving while black or being a representative while black. Nah, she was actually engaged in something. Now, you can make the argument if you wanted to take the time, which I did not, if you could get more film and say, hey, there's a white woman doing the same thing and there's a white guy doing the same thing, and they're not getting charged, then you'd have something. Then a guy like me would be like, hey, that's wrong, man. Why are they all being able to do the same thing, but she the only one that's catching heat? See, that's the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to show the disparities. Without showing the disparities, you're just talking. Yeah, part of the reason why I point out racial issues, because I said, look, this cop let this white guy walk towards him with an AR-15 loaded. The cop left. The guy gets in his car, they chase him down. They know he has a weapon. They don't surround him and open fire like I've seen them do so many times on black suspects. They just let the guy, they just take him in quietly like, cool dude, just put down the gun. Nobody felt their life was in jeopardy enough to shoot him. That's the disparity when I show black guy, same situation, with no gun, nothing visible that we can see, and they just shoot him down. They don't chase him down. They don't try to apprehend him. They don't radio in it. Everybody swoop in and trying to corner him, have conversations. Yeah, ta. See, that's showing a disparity in how the police operate. And I can make the argument that it's based on race because I had data. But see, that's not what James Carville and the Democrats are doing with Representative McIver. They're not showing you other people at the same demonstration or the same event conducting themselves the same way she did and then saying, why is this black woman being singled out? They're saying, they're leaving out, they're omitting the truth, man, which is, what the hell is she doing? I'm going to go ahead and play the rest of this. I got some more. Let's see what else they have to say. Let's see what Miss McIver has to say for herself. Because frankly, I really want to hear it.
So it's us against them. They talk about the blood of America and the poisoning of blood. And they talk about this kind of stuff. Again, let me be very clear. I don't have any proof, but if you ask me, do I think that's what happened? Yes, I think that's what happened. I think if it was a white congressperson, they would not have arrested her.
To have oversight over a facility, and the entire situation was escalated by ICE. They caused the confrontation. Homeland came and, caused this chaos that we see. It was a very tense situation, but it could have been, easily not happened. They had every opportunity to not allow this to happen. It was very unnecessary.
Next on deck.
Yeah. Did she address her putting hands on people that aren't her children? She didn't, did she? No, she didn't. Cops have beaten down people with billy clubs, Mason, and they've lost their lives, so way less than that. Way less than that. pushing a cop in the back, shoving him through the gate. Like, that has gotten all types of brothers just, spines broken. Freddie Gray did a lot less. He ran, and they tackled him and took him on a rough ride, and he was never seen alive again. Like, and look, if you're going to be a protester, if you're going to demonstrate, if you're going to act up, just admit it. Just say, look, this is what I chose to do. I'm doing it for my rights. I'm standing up for the people, and that's what you do. McIver, if she would just admit that she made a mistake, that she got the heat of the moment, I think most people be like, yeah, I understand the heat of the moment. I disagree with what was going on, and I acted inappropriately, and but I still support what I did. That would be one thing. My last point is this. One of the main reasons why I want to talk about this is because I think it's all phony what she's doing. I think it's phony with Baraka, whatever his name is, Sam Baraka. I think it's the New Jersey guy. Was he the mayor of the city or whatever? I don't know. New Jersey City. I don't know what he is. I know he's making the media rounds. He was on Abby Phillips. And look, these people want to pretend that they care about ICE detention centers so badly that they had to go down and show their ass and get locked up and do all this stuff. Folks, in that jail that they're going to, there are other jails. There are jails where American citizens, Black American citizens, are being held disproportionately. A lot more Black citizens are being held in the ICE detention centers, okay, than the people in the ICE detention centers. But you don't see this type of concern. I did a full range coverage of this. Like, in those jails, the number of deaths of American citizens is way off the charts. And I don't see any of the same concern, pushback, wanting to protest, the same emotion, everybody got to get involved. To me, all of this is fabricated political stuff. That's all it is. Last thing, my bad. This is really the last thing. Man, even if you say, okay, these detention centers were concerned about them, if you did the tour of the detention center, which is what several of her colleagues did, they didn't see anything wrong. They didn't witness anything that was make you, have an outcry for human rights in those detention centers. But those detention centers were not erected with Trump. Nor did Trump restaff them and install Nazis. That's not what happened. These detention centers have been running this way under Biden. But guess what we did not see? We did not see the publicity. We did not see all disdain, all the concern, all the gaslighting. Why? Because when it's under a Democrat, everybody's quiet. The media won't cover it. No one gives a damn. So here's what's consistent. No matter what administration it's under, no one gives a damn about prisoners. Okay, that's the thing. But depending on what administration's in office, they only care about a certain type of prisoner. A lot of my Jason Whitlock type conservatives, they'll say they only care about Black prisoners. That ain't true. They care about the prisoners to get them the most publicity. And right now, that flavor of publicity is migrants. The Democrats don't care about any particular group. They care about votes. They care about virtue signaling. They care about publicity. They care about image. They care about theatrics. And whether they're praising or making a mockery of George Floyd being killed, whether they're playing that up or giving somebody trying to put Harriet Tubman on a $50 bill, making the hip hop day in New York, whatever gratuitous, being a part of the statue in Manhattan, the Black Chiquita statue. I don't know what that is. LaQuisha statue. That nobody asked Black women if they want it, by the way, or how they want to be perceived. It all comes down to virtue signaling. That's why I had such a beef with the Democratic Party. So, just to remind y'all, if you could show me Representative McIver and you can show me her actions and also show me those same actions by white women, white guys, black men, and then she is only one that gets reprimanded and charged, then that would be different. But see, none of them want to make that claim. They know that she acted unjustly, illegally. They know she assaulted not just one ICE officer, look like one ICE officer and one Department of Homeland Security officer. It's all on camera. And still, they find a way to make it okay. And to me, that's bogus. And they do all this on the backdrop of using my people's pain, suffering, the actual injustices black people experience, and they want to extend it to this representative who, before that day, I didn't know who the hell she was. So there's a whole nother, looking for limelight and shine that this whole thing is a part of. So you got a whole table of BS that we're dealing with. And at the end of the day, it's all self-serving. Sometimes I wonder what I got to do to promote my show. In the back of my head, I know there's always, if you get locked up, Tim, if you do something crazy, you'll get promotion, you get publicity. What's crazy about the Democrats, they'll do something crazy to bring attention to their brand. And then when they get an issue for it, they pretend they won't come clean and be like, hey, I was just trying to get publicity. Instead, they'll play victim. And then use blackness, real shit, real problems, real discrimination as their get out of jail free card. And we ain't gonna let it stand here in black media. Black independent media, stand up. Call it out when you see it. Not in my house. All right. All right, guys. Let me know if you think that segment made sense. Give me a like on this joint. Hey, Lord saying, just because you disagree with them, they'll weaponize this video on me. They'll say, Tim don't care about black women. Nah, I care about right and wrong too. This black woman, this particular black woman's wrong. It's some BS. Next, let's keep it moving, guys. Next on my itineraries.
With Tim Black.
So where was this type of reaction last year when Angel Reese got chokeslammed by Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun? Y'all remember that? She got fouled so hard, they kicked Aaliyah Thomas out the game with a flagrant 2 foul. What did Angel Reese do? Nothing. She didn't get up and try to swing on her. You know why?
You know what, guys? I want to first of all give a disclaimer because being born in D.C., the only team my family that we supported in Maryland was the Washington Redskins. They've since changed their name. Now they're talking about changing it back. I remember when RG3 was our quarterback, and we were very excited because he was an exciting player for like one season, maybe two. So I was a supporter of this guy, but I didn't know anything about him. He was just a young quarterback who was exciting to see, who could run the ball. He was very athletic. But the more he talked, when he started talking, when you start finding out about him, it was like, oh, man, damn. As I forget the commentator put it, a cornball brother. That's what they called him. I can't disagree. Now he's in a battle with Ryan Clark, who I've also disagreed with on a couple of issues, because I think he spreads the liberal thing a little heavy. Yeah, he put a little extra on everything. Pandering, I feel like he panders to the liberals too much. And this guy, RG3, panders to the white conservative Jason Whitlock crowd too much. And so this one, I'm giving you that context. This is all about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Okay. And I can't get into the sports part of it. I'm going to leave that to the sports people. But I want to get into the social dynamics and the racial elements of that part of the conversation. I think after doing this 13 years, talking about race, talking about these dynamics in all types of media and all types of situations, that gives me a platform to do that. So let's do that. So let's leave out. I'm not going to judge the foul. I'm not going to judge the culture of penalties, but I can judge what's coming out of his mouth and what's going to come out of Ryan's mouth. Back to RG3 complaining about Angel Reese.
The reaction was different because of who did it. And there is a lot of history there with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. You guys remember last year when Angel Reese celebrated Kennedy Carter getting that flagrant foul on the hip check against Caitlin Clark? You remember that? On the sideline, just, yeah, baby, get her, you get her. Who celebrates like that for a flagrant foul on another player if they don't dislike that player? Okay, you want some more evidence? Here's some more evidence. Remember last year when they were talking about who?
Yeah, I just want to point out that RG3 has his wife in the background on purpose. And her being demonstrative, sort of theatrical, leaning into like doing, because I'm married and I do media. We're both, all of us in the media game. So I do all types of content. When do you see my wife in the background when I'm doing a piece of content that's critical of someone, where she is making faces, smiling and laughing in a contentious type when I'm doing a takedown video? So this is, I just want to point out, this very much, in my opinion, based on my experience of doing media for 13 years here, having a wife, a black wife, doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but we'll get into that later. Having a wife that's here in my studio. We look like he's got a home studio. I got a home studio. Why don't I bring my wife down when I'm talking about, I don't know, Representative McIver and have her in the back? Or when I'm talking about the white woman, Shiloh, she could have been in the back. There's a reason why RG3 did it. That's part of my content here. That's part of what I want to point out. There are those people whose IQ in racial issues and media are so low, they don't even recognize what's being done here. And there are people that know damn well what's being done here, which is antagonizing viewers. It's a thing called engagement. What is it? It's engagement farming. That's it. That's when you do things to trigger the audience, knowing it will push a button, which will increase your engagement. That's exactly what he's doing. It's intentional. It's not an accident. She's not sitting on camera just to be sitting on camera drinking coffee. Like, let's keep going.
Gets the credit for the
engagement farming. That's it. That's it. Just so you know, that's what it's called. It's a popular term.
Although when RG3.
Okay, so Ryan Clark, he's responding to RG3. He goes here.
He jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train and now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave Portnoy as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's heroic or hero story. Right. The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what Black women have to endure in this country, about what young Black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on. When I worked with RG3, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was.
Once again, this is engagement farming. When RG3, as a Black man, is showing, when he's making posts about the color of his wife's skin, that she's a white woman, he is engagement farming. He knows that in our society, there will be some people that criticize this, that'll be triggered by it one way or another, particularly Black women, maybe some Black men. This is all intentional. You know, once again, I've been in media. I could push pictures of my wife up. Would I continuously make several comments about how white she is? Or, well, she's not white, but how brown she is? Then she black, she black, she black, she black. But there's a reason why he does this. It's the reason why he's framing it this way. And as a black man, do we really have to go over the social dynamics, the history of America, black and white? It used to be illegal to have interracial marriages in America. So, as once again, we'll have people in comment sections who I guess were born yesterday that don't know that there's a lot of historical baggage as it relates to interracial marriages and dating in this country. There was actual laws against it, right? So you can say it's the same, which I see a lot from a lot of the conservatives, Jason Whitlock type conservative type people, those types, who want to ignore that these things exist in America and that there is always going to be that baggage. So let's keep going.
And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady, I've had a conversation with her. Right. I think she's more than that. But it also leads to what black women deal with a lot from black men who have chose to date or marry outside of their race.
I also want to point this point out, make this point clear, guys. I disagree with Ryan Clark a little earlier when he said that RG3 is not sitting home with his wife discussing issues about black women and what they have to go through. Yeah, maybe not those terms, but he is sitting back with his wife talking about the moves to make that will be good for their business. They are sitting back discussing racial dynamics. They are having those conversations. If you are a mixed couple and you're in the media eye and you're talking about race, which is what RG3 is talking about. He'll say he's talking about sports, but when he starts doing when he's getting demonstrative, like theatrical, like this, she's like, and doing all this stuff. And when he's making posts about Angel Reese she has hate for Caitlin Clark. When he does those things, he's playing into black stereotypes. That's intentional. There's a reason why he's doing it. When you make it hate instead of athletic, when you make it, a visceral, like a deep-seated hate, like almost like a when you take it beyond sports, when you make it about those people when you make it about them as people, then you're going into another terrain. So that's to correct Ryan Clark on the point. Yeah, he might not be having a conversation about black women. He ain't thinking about black women like that. I believe he's thinking of black women as a prop or a tool to get what he wants, which he's succeeding in, which is more engagement by triggering people and using his wife to do it.
They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up the woman that they're married or the woman that they're with over black women by denigrating black women. I feel like we should have an opportunity to move past that and understand that Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as Caitlin Clark is as well. Caitlin Clark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the black women that have come before her. And now she is carrying the mantle forward. So there's no need to pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical tropes. And I think this is what I'd like RG3 to know, that
there is a reason to do it for viewership. Hey, come on, guys. There's a humongous reason to pit them against each other. It's called selling tickets and putting butts in the seats. It's called getting some ink if you're a news commentator or sportscaster. Yeah, it's called coming up. That's what it's called. So there's a lot of reasons. So let's not be naive, man. This is a business. And the business runs on money. And nothing sells in America like race. I say it sells even more than sex.
No matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racists, he'll be no less black than me.
Hates Caitlin Clark. And that's
So now RG3 is going to respond to this, and he's going to, black and white athletes have different histories in America. And RG3 is going to omit all of that from his argument. It's not even going to come into it. Instead, he's upset that Ryan Clark mentioned his wife, that he's married to a white woman, though it's been sort of like a cornerstone. It's like a main feature of RG3's social media footprint is saying, I got a white wife. Look at her. See? Look how white her skin is. I love milk. Like, that's all intentional. And then when someone brings it up, hey man, you don't even have a black wife. You got a white wife. And you don't understand how Angel Reese, what she's dealing with. He's like, oh, you bring it up. My wife is white. How dare you? It's like, no, you brought it up. Right? She's in the video with you, laughing.
fine. It's okay. It's part of the game. Sports media, I'm going to have an opinion. This person might not agree with it. That person might not agree with it. But what you don't do is turn around and personally attack me and my family just because you don't agree with a sports opinion that is purely based off the sport. I didn't make it personal. But what that really shows is just how low of a person Ryan Clark is.
Yeah, he said it's all a part of the game. And just to admit you are playing a game, RG3. And see, he has to do this while not admitting that what he's doing right now is part of the game. And this part of the game is what I was taught or explained to me from a network partner when they were trying to recruit me to become a part of their network. I ended up leaving. I was with them a very short time. They wanted to, bring some different diversity to their network. And he said, Tim, you got to lean into the victim thing because all their clients in their network were conservatives, white conservatives. And he was telling me, he was like, you need to lean into the victim thing. That's what conservatives, the part of their growth is doing the victim play. And that's what RG3 is doing. Oh, come on, Ryan. This is disheartening, sad that you would ever invoke the name of my wife, feel attacked and we're insulted, my children. This is so un-American of you. I hope that you can see how troubling this is. They'll attack us in this way. That's part of the game too. But of course, there'll be those who pretend they don't know that that's part of the game. Which is also part of the game.
But Ryan, you crossed the line, man.
Oh, you mean the woman that was back there laughing when he was talking is feeling like she's hurt? Oh, she's not in this one, huh? She's not sitting back there. Oh, I'm sorry. She's troubled. I get it. Black and white athletes face different histories, while players like Clark were never barred from venues, they were never barred from arenas due to race, unlike black athletes historically. So there's a lopsidedness to this, even though I know RG3 and his fans, they want this to be, this is playing, this is sports, what's wrong? Critics like RG3 often ignore the context, showing themselves to have a negative 23 in the racial IQ department. Yeah, you might know something about sports because you were an athlete for several years on a very high level, but that don't mean you know anything about racial dynamics or care to actually say anything important on the matter. And media narratives often vilify black women like Reese while excusing similar behavior from white athletes like Clark. Yeah, like we remember some of us were here in 2023 when Clark was being just as argumentative and poking the bear, being demonstrative with the whole thing as Reese. But she didn't get nowhere near the amount of backlash. And we should just admit that White people want somebody to root for that looks like them. You know, I'm always reminded of Rocky. Yeah, when the white guys went to see Rocky, they wanted to see Rocky win because Rocky was fighting a black guy. And black guys, when we wanted to see it, we wanted to see Apollo Creed win because Apollo Creed was fighting a white guy. And that still exists. And it's in the fabric of the country. And then we can't just admit that. It's like the white guys won't admit they want to see a white person winning. Black people, they admit they want to see a black person winning. Like, but then, I don't know, it's weird. It's like we're not being honest about what's driving this. And then when it comes to scrutiny, the white folks who own the media channels and have a larger audience, frankly, they won't admit that they don't call balls and strikes exactly the same because they're biased because they want to see a white person win. And it's lucrative for their base to lean into all the black stereotypes and poke at the black, those stereotypes that are negative about black folks. And it doesn't matter what color you are to do this. In fact, I think the poking at black people with shaming black people as a whole with those negative stereotypes works best if it's coming out of the mouth of a black person. I.e. Candace Owens, i.e. Jesse Lee Peterson, or RG3, or Jason Whitlock, or Officer Tatum.
Ryan, you attacked me and my family in a public forum on a level that shows just how low of a human being you are. You can disagree with me all you want. Challenge my takes, but keep my family and my wife out of it.
Yeah, I'll say, Ryan Clark making a jab at his wife was a low blow. He did not have to do that in order to make his point. So, yeah, he didn't need to bring it up. But I do want to point this out because I think it matters, and I don't know why. What the hell, I'll say it. Having a black mom and having a black wife are different. Because I don't know why people think that just because RG3 has a black mom that he would understand black women. Like, he might understand his mom, but his mom doesn't represent black women. She just represents mom. And the mom and son relationship is not the same thing as woman you're dating. At least I hope not. I'm hoping we know there's a difference. And the things that a parent shares with their child are radically different than what a woman shares with her man or her husband. And it's being as though I have a black mom and a black wife, I can tell you the relationships are totally different. And the sharing of realities and truth and all this stuff and what happens. Black moms shield their kids from a lot of what goes on in their lives. And if you got a good relationship with your wife, she'll include you. You'll be privy to it in a way that no one else in the world may be privy to it. You'll understand it more. So I don't know, this narrative that just because RG3 came out of a black uterus, he understands black women. Yeah, that don't make sense. That's not it. Like the social dynamics, what happens in the real world, how people move, how things impact them, working how it is to work in a field that's dominated by certain stereotypes and deal with all that in the media and all this stuff, it might be totally different, So I just want to point it out because I'm hearing a lot of takes that equate mom and wife. They different. A black wife might share adult experiences differently, but equating the two is lazy and misses the point of the lived experience.
That's a boundary that should always be respected, man. Always. Ryan Clark personally attacking me and my family. Because
what did he look, dog? He's saying this as if he's like threatening your family. Nah, man, that's not what he said. He just said, what would you know about like what all the things that black women go through that Angel Reese has been going through the last year and a half, 18 months. You don't even know like who is your relationships with? Who are you talking to? Who's in your inner circle? Not your wife. She ain't gonna understand that stuff. That's not that toxic. It's like it's not like he said your wife was less than, or what you doing with that wife? You know, he just pointed out. I'm not saying he should have done it, but let's not act like he took a pound of flesh from you guys. Like he ran you out of town or something and said you were bad people or she was a bad person, or that he used a racial slur, if one even exists for white people that really, you know. Come on, Johnson. It's just him playing into it and a bunch of goofies online acting like they're the same thing. Like white people have it so hard in America. Oh, she had to suffer. Listen to Ryan Clark say she's white. Oh my God.
He disagreed with my sports opinion. It's a bad look for him as a man. I hope you get the help you need, brother.
Yo. By the way, this is, just so people know, this is RG3. Now, he just copped his pleas. He's playing the role of someone who's very offended by the critique. Here goes a clip from RG3. This is something he put up on social media that him and his wife shot. When you accidentally take melanin instead of melatonin to fall asleep. This is the level of goofy cornball brother that RG3 is. Yeah. Yeah. So to him, being black and being white is just skin tone. It's not the experiences. He just proved it. His wife took a melanin pill and she wakes up black. But she would be a white woman with a tan. A white woman with darker skin, but not a black woman with black experiences, right? Real quick, let's make sure we understand each other. RG3 and his wife came up with a skit where she becomes black from taking the pill, but she will only look black. She will not be black, which is sort of the point Ryan Clark was trying to make. He made it a little clumsy. It was a little, you know, I don't know how well he was trying to articulate it, but what he was saying was he did say experiences, lived experience that you don't understand at all, RG3. You don't have a black woman. What the clip show? It showed just how surface level RG3 and his wife, she's in the skit. She didn't say, hey, I don't want to be in this. This is controversial, Robert. I don't want to rob, you know. No, she is happily in the skit, just like she was happily sitting back there, smiling and drinking coffee, whatever that was, and laughing. So that's something. And once again, you can choose to pretend that this doesn't have a point. I think it does.
Whenever you think of Angel Reese, people often mention Caitlin Clark. You've said in interviews, there's no beef, but the media keeps going on. So how do you feel about that situation?
Caitlin is an amazing player, and I've always thought she was an amazing player. We've been playing each other since high school. So
yeah, that sounds so hateful, RG3. Gosh, it's so hateful. Why? Gosh, you just said there is no beef. Just the media wants it to be a beef. Huh. We were playing each other since high school.
So I think it's really just...
Oh, and she's an amazing player. How vicious.
The fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans that are like, they ride for her. And I respect that respectfully, but sometimes it's very disrespectful. I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that. But when it comes to death threats, like I'm talking about people have come down to my address, follow me home. Like it's come down to that. Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me like naked. Literally.
Really?
They have sent it to my family members. My family members are like, uncles are sending it to me like,
no.
Are you naked on Instagram?
Yeah. I don't know if Caitlin Clark is experiencing the same type of blowback, pushback, or attacks or threats that Caitlin Clark, I don't think that Caitlin Clark is experiencing exactly the same things that Angel Reese is experiencing. I don't know. I'm guessing. I haven't seen an equivalent clip of Caitlin Clark talking about people trying to follow her home and people threatening her life because of me things you said about Caitlin or Angel, about Angel. Damn it. So I think there's a point there. This imbalance shows the media amplifies Reese's actions while downplaying Clark's, feeding a double standard. RG3's hate narrative and mention of his wife, they are calculated and they stir the pot, which is only going to increase engagement. And once again, I believe it's all intentional. And I think that people are going along with it because of the media game that's being played. I don't know if the women themselves, are they playing a part in the media game? I don't know. I think when they're out there playing ball, they're not thinking about playing the media game. They're playing each other. And tempers can flare and plays can get whatever. You're passionate, you want to win. And yeah, but to say there's more of that, more going on, I don't know. Clark crossed the line by bringing up RG3's family. Personal attacks don't advance the argument, but he still has the point about Reese being unfairly targeted as a black woman in a white-dominated media narrative. It holds weight. And I know Jason Whitlock, Curtis Owens, and Officer Tatum, and RG3 don't want that to be the case. They want us living in America where black and white don't matter. Black is white. Da, 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 yeah. But see, then there's reality. There's a reality where they're not equal and they're not treated the same. And we just got to accept that's the world we have. Maybe 100 years from now, it'll be different if they're still in America. Maybe it'll be different, but right now in 2025, the year of our Lord, there's still a lot of racial disparities and media narratives that are toxic. So people need to focus on the talent that we have here in both players. And if we can do that, we'd be great, you know? And we can like or dislike or root for whoever we want. And if we can't get past the fact that we have eyesight and we are victims of the environments we grew up in, where we see color, none of us are colorblind, and we're all impacted, we're all infected with biases about each, at least we can do is admit that. You know, admit. When I'm watching Netflix, when I see a black person doing the thing, I stop a little quicker, unless it's like a white actor that I really rock with. But I'll watch a no-name video for a second. I'll stop just because I saw a black face. And when are white people going to admit it's the same way with them? That they do the same thing? It's like, so we never really advance the conversation. Folks, the death threats and the attacks that Angel Reese is getting, she's getting them from white people. Yeah, it's not, everything ain't Elon Musk counterfeiting and making it up. Nah. Everything ain't the algorithm just trying to feed you that. Yeah, but people are creating that content. People are making those comments. This is America. I know you don't want it to be because you want to now, for some reason, make white guys the people that are being attacked. But yeah, I mean, like once again, there's reality and then there's what you want. RG3's framing this as hate is reckless. I don't think Angel Reese hates Caitlin, and that ain't even the point. These two guys just got into it on a difference of opinion. Clark's personal attack was wrong, but his defense on Reese's points, it points to a real issue. Black women have harsher judgment. They get harsher judgment. Oh, God. Like, why would anybody have to even say that? Like, to me, that should be a given because of the world we live in, because of the country, because of the social dynamics of America. We don't already know that. We're not accepting that. No one calls white women DEI hires when they're the biggest beneficiary of DEI upgrades. They actually went from 3% of management employees to like 19% during the DEI reign. And still, when the conservatives like Jason Whitlock and those types talk about DEI, they show you Angel Reese or Joy Reid or Jasmine Crockett. When there's Dana Bass, Jen Psaki, and Caitlin whatever. Or Rachel Maddow. But there's a lot of others that I can't even name. Like the 2 white girls on The View. Alyssa Farah. So we need to be smarter, fairer, commentators, respect history, and keep the focus on the court, or at least be honest enough to say you can't be unbiased. All right, guys, give me a like for this content if you think it has some points, some validity. I'd like to know what you think in the comment section below. Is RG3 a cornball brother? Yeah, that's my question. I know I should elevate the conversation, but I really want to know what people think. Let me be serious. Can we admit that we got some racial baggage in this country, and that if the media can play this up with Caitlin Clark and with Angel Reese, that the WNBA benefits? And when they play it up, those news entities benefit. But who doesn't benefit? Angel Reese. She gets vilified. No one's going to vilify Caitlin Clark. Get it? Let me know if that makes sense to you. Who's the villain? Who's going to get villainized? Give me a 1 if you think it's Angel Reese. Give me a 0 if you think it's Caitlin Clark. We already know the answer, but I think we do, but I'd like to know what you think. You know my answer. All right. Next.
It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through that, and now seeing other players even having to go through that. But like at the end of the day, it's a game that we do both love, but there is no hate.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Trust issue with
there
the
has
voters.
always been a mass trust issue because politicians, media, nobody does what they're supposed to do. Now, I say, for me,
I don't know if Whoopi realized she's part of media. I don't know if she realizes that. That's an honest statement if she admits that she's part of what doesn't do what she's supposed to do. Yeah, I wish they could be that honest.
Listen, he's 83, so he's a little stumbly, he's a little rumbly. I can't point to anything that he's done as that he did.
No, that he's running for his next 4 years.
But I'm saying, I want, not you, but I want somebody to tell me, well, when did you?
We had the highest inflation that we've had in 40 years under Joe Biden. We had the biggest influx of illegal immigrants in this country, in the history of the country under Joe Biden. Those are 2 things. We backed up the Brinks truck to Israel and Ukraine at the same time. That's 3 things. That's 4 things. There go 4 things, Whoopi. Now, you probably support all 4 of them. I don't. But, you know, you being as a Democrat and you got to support him, because if you don't, then you don't get to go to the cool parties and your career might suffer. And who knows, you might end up in a video on a Diddy sex tape. But for the rest of us people that are regular people that didn't have access to Diddy parties, who are not under such, that have very little chance of such attacks, let's go call it straight. Yeah, there are at least 4 reasons I just gave you off the top of my head without skipping a beat about things that Joe Biden did in office that were horrible. And you could say that because his elevator wasn't going to the top floor. We could say that. We could say that. You won't say it, and even with that lady who's sitting over there who's half-assed being critical of Joe Biden.
know it was bad. If you knew, why did you wait?
Yeah, so
Can I
answered that,
can I
though.
get in
He
for a
said that
second?
it was after he moderated the debate.
Can I
Yes,
get in?
but that's not, I'm sorry, baby. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you're telling me that hundreds of people knew that he was not able to do his job, then where the hell was everybody?
He did his job.
Man, people have been reporting on this. We've been talking about it in independent media. They talked about it in articles. You can see for your eyes, folks. This is just horrible. Look at this. Do you have eyes? Can you see anything? Look at this. Look at Jill and look at Joe. Joe's fighting for his life. Fighting for his life walking. What do you mean? I couldn't see anything. I didn't see anything. There you go. Look at this.
Mr. President! Mr. President, just a word. Mr. President, what are you going to say to Trump on Wednesday?
Joe is up there trying to live like if he know, he's like, if I fall one more time, this is a wrap. Boy, Whoopi Goldberg and the crew, man, are just full of it. That's just horrific, man, to be up there telling a lie like that in front of cameras, as if they are recording you when you're lying like that. People just clapping like seals. Bogus. All right, here goes CNN. They did a segment on it. Let's see if we can get through that. Notice how everyone's going to be a lot more honest about things now that Joe Biden's out of power. Let's talk about that new book that came out. What the hell? Ah, damn it. Damn it.
Playing. Playing. When are you going to talk with Trump on Wednesday?
More damning revelations tonight about the Biden inner circle's efforts to hide his decline, including a scene in which the campaign staged a fake town hall. Why? Well, to quell concerns about his age and ability to interact with people. Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is the co-author of Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. That is Alex Thompson. He's also a CNN political analyst and an Axios national political correspondent. And Alex, the fact of the fake town hall is not actually the worst part of the story that you report in the book.
Yes, other campaigns have used fake town halls. Now, I would say those town halls usually are in addition to real town halls. Joe Biden was doing neither. This fake town hall was in order to film it so they could make it into campaign commercials. They filmed it in Delaware with supporters. But Joe Biden, at this point, this is the spring of 2024, Joe Biden's town hall, which was closed to press, was so bad that campaign officials determined that it was not usable for a campaign commercial. So they took 90 minutes, 2 hours out of the president's day. They filmed an entire town hall, and they determined that it was not usable. Now, some people say this was because Joe Biden was incoherent. He could not really articulate his thoughts in a pithy or even semi-normal way. Some people just said like the lighting was bad. That was sort of the 2 points of view. But the point is, it shows how like what the campaign status was in the spring of 2024 when they were trying to deal with a candidate that wasn't a decline.
Wait, someone told you the lighting was bad?
That's one of the excuses.
You're saying that they spent millions of dollars to stage a town hall? Well, we didn't get the lighting right.
That was one of the excuses.
I mean, and this comes back to the question of how many people were aware of things like that, but said nothing. And in fact, perhaps publicly said quite the opposite, that Joe Biden was fine, that everything was great. He was perfectly capable of doing this job for another 4 years. So
Absolutely. I was at the Justice Department at the time when we released her report, and he was the entire White House infrastructure at the time was calling the report gratuitous and said that Rob Hurst should have never called him a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. And every Democratic pundit, many reporters were out there saying that it was inappropriate for Rob Hur to say that. And the reality is the whole reason why he put that in is because it was his whole reason not to prosecute. So it's really infuriating to hear this happening in the spring of 2024 around the time that the Hur report was released, and certain aspects in Alex and Jake's reporting really talk about the time frame being fall of 2023, whenever he did his interview with Rob Hur, as well as early 2024 when the release of the report. And so it's really frustrating, I think, as a Democratic Party, hearing now that they were lying to everybody. And not only were they lying to everybody, but they were bashing their own cabinet when it came to the Hur report.
One of the top Biden aides is Tom Donilon, and I'll play a little bit from Tom in a minute. Or I'm sorry, Mike Donilon. I'll play a little bit from Mike in a little bit, what he said after the election. But the nugget that came out about him was that he was paid $4 million to be a part of Biden's campaign from basically February to November. And the Jen O'Malley Dillon was the next highest paid person at $300,000 plus a bonus. How does something like that happen? And when you told people that this is what you found out, what was the reaction in the Biden world?
It happened because Biden insisted it was going to happen. When Mike Donilon went to the campaign in early 2024, there were obvious objections among Biden's inner circle and on the campaign of paying Mike Donilon $4 million. But the president was insistent, pay Mike what he wants. You have to remember, Mike Donilon's been with Joe Biden since 1981. And he insisted, and that was the way it was. And you said from February to November, Mike Donilon went back to the White House after Joe Biden
didn't even get that far.
Yeah, was no longer the nominee. And there was a lot of internal anger and frustration, and there still is about this.
Charles?
Well, that's so many things. Number one is, I think a lot of us are kind of shocked, and we're in the dark. I wrote a column about this is all kind of like made up, that they're trying to present him as a weaker candidate because of political reasons, and to find out later that was not true, that I, as a journalist, was also part of that ecosystem of people questioning the motives, is really, really hard for a lot of people who did not, believe that Joe Biden's a good guy, but also just did not want this guy, right? That anything was better than Donald Trump, because even if Joe Biden is declining, he's not trying to destroy the country. Cannot say the same for the person who is now in the White House. And so that is, for a lot of us, I think, really hard pill to swallow. But I think you have to swallow.
You know what, guys? I got to stop it, man. Jesus Christ, Johnson. Why they get to do this all the time, Johnson?
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Democrats never want to admit that they just want to win elections. They want to win elections. That's what they want to stay in power. You stay in power, you get to make money, you get to pick who you want to hire, pay people. There's a lot of incentives to win if you can win. What's the best runner-up to not staying in power is staying paid, but losing, but staying paid, and finding ways to still get the money machine to keep up cranking out the money to you, and employing your friends and family, and being employed yourself. So we have a conundrum, right? We got a problem, because Democrats want to frame everything as if they were looking out for the best interests of the country. Once again, guys, I pointed out 4 issues. 4. We had the worst immigration, worst border in the history of the United States. We had the most illegal crossings ever. We had the fentanyl crisis, which has attributed a lot of the deaths, over, 70,000 a year, to the amount of fentanyl crossing our borders. We got the worst inflation in the last 40 years. All this is under Joe Biden. So the worst economy, with all the hand-wringing and pearl clutching, everybody losing their mind about what's going on with the tariffs and all this stuff, our economy is still in a better place than it was under Biden, when people were quiet, when it was in the toilet under Biden. No one remembers this? So anyway, this idea that, Trump's going to destroy the country and Biden's going to keep it. It wasn't great under Biden. People keep saying like Trump's wrong with the Make America Great Again. Was it great under Biden? It wasn't great. He was just in control, and it wasn't great. And now he's saying that being in control will make this a fascist country and run by Hitler, and it's not any more fascist, and there is no Hitler here. And there are things that are better. Our borders more secure. Our inflation's coming down. And yeah.
I think that is one of the things that I think separates people of honor, is that you can understand that new information and make a change. I think that is really important for a lot of Democrats to do, at the same time as saying anything but this guy who's in the White House right now.
Let me play Mike Donnellan. He was asked at Harvard University about whether Joe Biden was cognitively impaired, and here was his response.
I watched him every day. You know, there's this view out there, and you see it written as like it's fact. Oh, Biden was mentally impaired. I didn't see that. And I sat in a room with him for hours and hours. I don't know how much time any of those people spend with Biden. I know how much time I spent with him. I know what I saw.
Alex, is he just lying? Because you've detailed a lot of examples in this book where people around him saw him unable to carry out parts of the job in terms of understanding information, sitting in meetings, things like that. Is he just lying?
I don't know if he's lying to us people or if he's lying to himself. You know, I think in some ways this is a very human story. We've all had aging.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
He's lying to us. I don't care if he's lying to himself. Do that on your own time. He's lying to us. He's talking to a camera. He's not sitting in a room, a dark room by himself having a scotch, watching a Tom Ham video or episode of Made Men or My Friends and Neighbors and going, my God, you know, I got to tell myself something to get through the night about Joe Biden and his presidency. No, the guy's sitting at Harvard. He's talking to cameras and he's making a claim that there's nothing wrong. He saw nothing ever. Now, we all can see, this book that Jake Tapper and this guy Alex Thompson put out, they interviewed 200 people. They said, because I watched it, I'm not going to bore you with more of this because they on their speaking tour. They said, this book is only 25% of the testimonies of people that came forward. It's like people were like dying to get off their chest how badly Joe was doing. Okay? 25% of the book is only 25% of what they had. For editing and for length purposes, they had to cut it down. And we got a guy that was paid $4 million for, 9 months worth of work to run his campaign? Come on, Johnson, this guy. And the other response from Alex Thompson. And remember, he wrote a book exposing the whole thing. And the best he could do is say, well, I don't know if he's lying to himself or lying to us or what's going on here. They're still letting people off the hook. They're letting the chief guy who was running the campaign off the hook for lying. And then these same journalists or these people, they want to say they were fooled. You weren't fooled. You were lying too. You were lying by omission. All of you were lying by omission. Didn't want to mess up your careers. You didn't want to do your job and lose your job. You didn't want to, journalists didn't want to do their jobs because they knew doing their job could mean them losing their job because they wouldn't be able to do their job, which is cover the Biden campaign. They would be shut out. They would lose access to the campaign, to the administration, which is a major part when you're covering politics. So they wanted to keep their job. They chose their careers over doing their damn jobs.
people they love in very different ways. Sometimes they realize, man, this person needs help, and sometimes they're a little bit in denial about it. And I think it's possible that this could be the case.
Is there a difference there, though? He specifically says the words mentally impaired. Is there a difference in your reporting between decline, an elderly decline, and a mental impairment? I think that is there a difference there? And if there is, I think it's significant to say that.
It could. It sort of depends what he says. I mean, there were moments when there were members of his own cabinet that would have been concerned if a crisis had happened at that moment. Right. You know, is that impaired, or is that just him being a little out of it? I don't know.
Yes. Sure, Alex, let me ask you this question. I haven't read the book, but I've seen the reporting. You guys talked to 200 plus people on the record. They were saying some staff members didn't have access to the president. Cabinet members for months didn't have access to the president. There was concern. You just stated if there was a national emergency, the president wasn't in the mental state to be able to potentially handle it, make tough decisions. If all of that is true, then who was making decisions for the country?
Well, I'd say, the president, there's also the president and there's the presidency, right? And there is an infrastructure around the president that is making decisions at all times. Now, there are some decisions that always have to go up to the president. But I'm saying that in the immediate circle around that, on the national security side, you're talking Jake Sullivan, Anthony Blinken. On the political side, Mike Donovan, Steve Ricchetti. On the policy side, Bruce Reed. And then also just sort of on the schedule, personnel side.
Here's the conundrum for Democrats here. I get everything you're saying, Alex. I'm aware of that. When people vote for a president, they get their staffers, advisors are going to help do the job. They get that. But they also want to fundamentally know that the person that they voted for, no matter what happens at 2 a.m. call we always used to hear about, that this guy can take the call. And it's very clear from this book that Joe Biden couldn't take the call for an additional 4 years, and he probably should not have continued the remainder of his presidency.
Alex, there's a passage in the book where I think a cabinet secretary says essentially the country was being run by a board of 5 people, and at best, Joe Biden was a senior member of the board. In your opinion, would it be valid now for Republicans to go back in time and say, were presidential decisions being made in this way valid? Was the president aware of every decision that was made in his name? Isn't that a question that needs to be asked today? And did you uncover any answers to those questions in the book?
That quote wasn't from a cabinet member, but was from a senior Democrat involved in the White House dealings. But in terms of your other question, I mean, I still feel that Jake, I think, agrees that this is only the first draft of the story, and it's going to continue on.
Hey, look, man, as an American who voted in an election, as an American citizen, whether you voted or not, you know what? Whether you voted or not, listen, our system is based on elections, and everyone in this country who's a citizen should be able to respond or feel comfortable in saying the person that wins the election is the president of the United States. Not president by party, by group, by committee, by shadow, by a friend, by this guy over here, and the president's on, in a box somewhere, hid in the jar, comatose, in a cryogenic freeze like Han Solo from the Return of the Jedi, or whatever was it? What was it? The real good one, the second one. The Empire Strikes Back, that's the one. Yeah, that's not, you can't be like, this ain't the Matrix. So what they've done, the Democrats have done, is they took all the, look, the Democrats have ruined their trust, people's trust in them. And I'm glad to see it, because at least now, unless you're a total person that just can't be convinced no matter what reality is. Like, you see that there really isn't, no one's levitating. The magician, the woman's really not floating. You see that she's laying on something. Like, they're showing you behind the scenes how the sausage is made. That they're full of crap. And you can keep on making them the nicer, kinder, gentler. You can still believe the Democrats are the better, the saints, and the Republicans are evil. You can still believe that if you want to, but it's kind of obvious that Democrats are full of it, and they ran their party that way, and they lied to everybody in the world, not just in America, in the world. That shouldn't be okay.
President Biden, whether he, nobody's a medical doctor at this table, we don't really know that, but one of the most concerning things, Alex, in the book is this idea that there were times when people around him didn't believe that he was following conversations. He couldn't understand the back and forth that was happening in front of him. That, to me, is a very important functional problem for a president of the United States.
Well, and some Democratic senators also had concerns that had policy implications. There's one anecdote in the book with Senator Michael Bennet from Colorado, who's at an immigration event. And he basically comes away from this event saying the reason why the immigration policy seems to be a bit incoherent is because Joe Biden is not able to sort of manage the varying factions of the Democratic Party and sort of bring them together.
Alex, we do have to leave it there, unfortunately. We got to go. I'm so sorry. Alex Thompson, thank you very much for being here. Again, the book is Original Sin. It's out right now, today. Pick it up. Everyone else, stay with us. Coming up next.
Next on.
Yeah, man. Like I said, take it from me. Look, I understand. I'm a Democratic Party hater. I tell you that up front. I can't stand the Democratic Party for all of its lying and antics like this. This is what they've been doing to black people for the last 50 years in order to get the black vote. Scary, any version of bad man, orange man bad. They do that with everything. That's how they keep getting black people to vote for him. He gonna put you back in chains. You vote for them, they're gonna put you back in chains. And black people fall for it. We gotta stop falling for it, guys. We gotta stop letting Democrats scare us into voting for them. Be an independent voter. Make a decision based on whose policy is gonna best affect you. And if you do pick a party or whoever you vote for, for whatever reason, if they don't live up to what they've obligated themselves to do or what they committed to do, then punish them for it by not voting for them again. Fund their opposition. Get them out of office. So we just got to stop being so compliant with these people that aren't riding for us. This is a perfect example. And out will come the Whoopi Goldbergs, all of the Democratic operatives who make their money, their living, off continuing the grift that the Democrats are somehow the kinder, gentler white meat. But they're not. They're going to come out and do damage control and tell you, you're going to believe them or you're going to believe your lying eyes. It's about time we start believing our lying eyes. Because this is horrific, man. Yeah. All right, let's keep going, guys. This is the last story of the night, man. I know it's getting late. Let's just knock this out. This is one I wish we didn't have to do, but we got to do it for the second time. Maybe this time I put it out as the second clip. Here goes Donald Trump talking about South Africa.
Deck with Tim Black.
Any questions, please? Mr. President, we welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, this is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can. And we're doing record business on that. And we just won a big case where we're allowed to send back hundreds of criminals to Venezuela. Just won that today in the Supreme Court. I'm happy to hear. But we do have a lot of A lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yeah.
Whether you call it a genocide or not, the facts are.
Yeah, well, you know what, guys? Let's just be clear, man. There is no genocide going on in South Africa of white farmers. I got numbers. I mean, numbers would tell us, right? That's how you determine what a genocide. Like, you can kind of determine by the number of deaths, right? Would you consider our fentanyl crisis a genocide? You probably wouldn't, right? But anyway, official statistics from the South African Police Service from 2014 to 2024 report around 50 to 70 farmers murdered annually, which is a small fraction of the country's 20,000 yearly homicides. Look, that's 50 to 70 white farmers have been killed annually per year in a range of different things. Not like, oh, we got to go kill White Farmers Day. People break in trying to steal stuff. There's this domestic disputes. There are all types of whatever. Like, if you die and you're a farmer, that doesn't mean someone said, I'm going to go kill white farmers today. That's not what it's saying. But we are saying there's 20,000 homicides in the country every year. And we're talking about a very small fraction. And this is just points like, I don't know if Trump figured this out. I don't know. I mean, he's a smart guy. He figures this out, right? He got smart people, right? Do you realize how racist it is to say, oh, no, the white farmers are under attack, when they only represent like 2% of the deaths? And you know, I always get these, I got to keep saying, the Jason Whitlock conservatives, the Candace Owens conservatives, the Officer Tatum conservatives, the RG3 conservatives, that'll say, but what about the whites? And they always say, you're always going after and protecting the blacks. And it's all trumped up and everything is hyped up. I just told you. Only 50 to 70 white farmers are killed annually since from 2014 to 2024. But you're not concerned about the 20,000 homicides that are not white farmers. I got a feeling a large amount of those homicides are blacks, and you got nothing to say, oh, black Africans, or yeah, black Africans. And there's no, oh my God, genocide, oh my God, what's happening? It's like the people that are making this an issue don't realize they are just outing themselves as the biggest racist there could possibly be. Like, this is so obvious. I don't think you could be worse. I don't think you could do a worse job of explaining your point than being on this hill. Being on this hill, dying on this hill, man, looks horrible. And I don't want it. And I want black people to get the hell out the Democratic Party. When they hear Trump say dumb things like, this is not dumb, this is racist. This is white supremacist shit right here. That's what this is. This doesn't help my argument. But then I remember, Tim, I'm not telling anybody to become a Republican, become an independent, which doesn't put you in the Republican Party to begin with, so I'm good. So I'm not telling you to go be a Trumper. I'm telling you not to be either. Okay? So those are the numbers, guys. This is what they're talking about. We're talking about less than 5, not even 50 out of 20,000. Is that 1%? I don't even know, man. Somebody do the math. What's the percentage? We'll take the highest number of 70 farmers annually out of 20,000 deaths. Is that a point? Is that a point, or is it less than 1%? Less than 1% of the overall homicides? Okay. Let's keep going, Johnson. So, and they call it a white genocide. Why come Trump can't just say, man, look, Elon Musk has been a great friend of my campaign, and I want to do him a favor. I want him to have bragging rights in this country that we helped his people. Why come he just can't say that? Trump, why can't you be a straight shooter and just say, hey, Elon's my guy. I love Elon. We love Elon. He's a great guy. I love Elon. And we're doing him a favor. We're going to bring in some of his friends and cousins, extended family. Why come you just can't say that? Then we could all go hypocritical, but it makes sense. And someone spent millions of dollars to help me win an election. It didn't work with me in my campaign or in my administration, and took the hit and is being hated by the country. And now he's got to pull away, and I want to give him a little going away present, which is to give him bragging rights in his home country of birth, that it was all for something, and now he's been able to help people, and he'll go down in history as being influential in getting this done. Why can't Trump be honest like that? Sounds almost like Trump is turning into a politician. Jake Tapper is about to tarnish himself very badly here. Hope Shermichael doesn't follow him. Shermichael, don't do it, man. Don't do it. I think this is just Scott Jennings, who's about to step all the way in it.
Thing to see, but I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up, yeah.
Whether you call it a genocide or not, the facts are white farmers in South Africa have been murdered. A lot of people have tried to cover this up. A lot of people in, I think, media in the United States have tried to cover it up.
So have black farmers and black people. Why are you only focusing on the white farmers? Why, Scott?
Obviously, the South African government doesn't want to talk about it, so it was kind of a boss move for Donald Trump to roll that television in there today. And I think even the
boss move. I think you mispronounced bonehead. Yeah, I think you got your words mixed.
agriculture minister in the Oval Office confirmed that these people are, in fact, being murdered. So my question is, if it's not a genocide today, how many do we want to let get murdered so that people around here can be satisfied? Okay, now it's a genocide. Let's let a few more. I don't understand.
Well, more than 50. Yeah, more than 50 might be a good benchmark, because there have been tens of thousands of people murdered other places, and you didn't bat an eye nor shed a tear or have a monologue prepared, Scott. Sudan civil war in 2023 to the present has displaced over 8 million people, with estimates of 15,000 to 150,000 deaths. And I didn't hear you talk about it, Scott. That's right there in Sudan. There's been no media coverage, basically, here in the West. The New York Times gave it a minimal attention compared to Israeli, Palestine, or Ukraine. And why is it so underreported? Well, conflict dynamics, no direct U.S. involvement, sort of like us with South Africa. We don't rock with South Africa like that. That's what the whole meeting is about. That's the rub of this, guys. Like, the South African president came there and they were supposed to talk trade and economic relations, because we haven't been rocking with them. But we care about this. We care about this. We care about the 50 to 70,000, 50 to 70. No zeros. Well, 1 0. And Scott's got a monologue already locked and loaded in his brain on this one.
We're talking about 50-something people they were trying to let in, and everybody is losing their mind after we let in 20 million illegal immigrants over the last several years. The president is trying to prevent genocide from happening.
That's funny. He just used the number of how many people annually that are white farmers that are being so-called genocided, which I don't even think you can use the term genocide. I mean, we're talking about the number of people that are shot in Atlanta or Chicago on July weekend. I mean, that's really what we're doing here. Do you realize that? And I'm not saying that's good, like it's bad when people get killed anywhere, but 50 people a year, do you know how happy Memphis would be if they had those type of numbers? I mean, 50 to 70 white farmers. Put the word black in front of it, and that's a pretty damn good year. We're lighting fireworks. We're celebrating. We're making music. Kendrick Lamar's gonna drop a mixtape or a track to it. Like, yo, that's what's up. We're celebrating 50 to 70. Only 50 to 70 black people died all year and insert name of state. But Scott wants to call it a genocide, and the only reason why Scott's calling it a genocide is because they're not just that they're white, but because Elon and Trump. It sounds kind of hacky, Scott.
Happening any further to these people. They are clearly being discriminated against. Some have been murdered. This was an interesting spectacle in the Oval Office today, but it had to happen because I don't think anybody was telling the truth about it.
I told the truth. You're not telling the truth. What I just told you is true. What about Ethiopia, Scott? Since we care about Africa now, between 2020 and 2022, an estimated 300,000, 600,000 Ethiopians were killed, mostly civilians, through violence, starvation, and disease. U.S. media covered it sporadically, often focusing on U.S. diplomatic angles rather than the scale of atrocities. Why did we underreport it? Why didn't we cover it? Is it because we don't care about Ethiopians, which are Africans? Well, it's a remote location. It's not near us. Restricted media access and a focus on U.S.-centric stories like COVID-19 or Afghanistan withdrawal took the limelight. Like, we just didn't have a news cycle for it. We had other stuff to cover. And frankly, the American appetite or interest in the story is so low, media's like, we got to cover this instead. But you know what did not happen? Biden was in office. Biden didn't talk about it either. So that's why I'm saying, and when I say the reason why they're focusing on this is not just that they're white, that's true, but there are white people being killed other places, and they're not focused on that either. But they're focused on this because it's South African. That's why I'm making it the Elon Musk tie-in. But the fact that they're white, of course, is that they're white South Africans, because they're South Africans. The Elon obviously doesn't give a shit about, because about 19,000 of them, was it 19, 20,000? Yeah, because 19,000 black South Africans are killed every year, and Elon ain't talking about that.
Whether you call it a genocide or not, the facts are white farmers in South Africa have been murdered.
Mr. President, if you had to wind all of those tapes properly, you will see I'm the biggest target of that rabble-rouser. Number one for over 10 years, Mr. Malema. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman. And look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board. And
this is a billionaire out of Africa, actually South Africa, who's speaking here. He's telling Trump right here, hey, we got way more killings than we need, and it's not just white folks, not just white farmers in general. That's why we're here to get your help. We don't need you to come here and tell us we're killing white farmers when they represent less than 1% of the deaths of people being killed in Africa, South Africa. Let's see how Trump responds to all the logic and science and facts being dropped by a rich white guy.
We need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US basics, the ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York could be what it became. 2 commissioners, a tough mayor. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. Ernie's right now building a house in George. I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Grafrenet. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens who stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, firstly it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Watts many years ago, the Charlie Rose show. My wife loved the book. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that develops. And I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've been against apartheid all my life, and I'm their #1 target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir. He marched on the farm.
But the crime is bad.
The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33, what are these guys? We've got equivalents there. But we need your help, sir. And we need Elon technology.
Yeah, listen to the guy. The guy's telling you, hey, man, it's not what you think. We got gangs, we got illegal aliens, we have high unemployment. This is what's driving our murders. Not white farmers trying to disintegrate, get rid of white farmers. That's not what our problem is. That's not it. And Trump, his only response is, but yeah, it's white people dying though, right? Folks, I also want to remind you that Trump withdrew. He canceled much needed aid to South Africa. Come on. Trump canceled the aid to South Africa. Then he offered refuge to white minority Afrikaners, expelled the country's ambassador, and criticized his genocide court case against Israel. Yeah. Yeah, because see, South Africa was challenging Israel for the genocide being created or being perpetuated on Palestinians in Gaza. So that's really what this is all about. So it's all about paying back South Africa because they had the gall, the unmitigated gall, to challenge Israel in international court for their treatment of Palestinians. And now they're trying to do a false equivalency and compare 50 to 70 white farmers in South Africa to the thousands of Gazans that are being starved to death and killed right now. Okay? So, like I said, it's a horrible look for Trump. I guess this is his way of doing a solid for Israel while also pandering to his base and knowing that the so-called independent conservative media that of the certain ilk, certain kinds of independent conservative media are gonna fall in line and gonna continue to lie for him. You know, like Benny Johnson and those others. There's several others. Yeah. All right, guys. It is what you think it is. It's what's going on. And like I said, if you wanted an explanation or you wanted a demonstration of just how bad the supremacy is, there you go. We had 20,000 people being killed in South Africa every year. And the only group they care about are the 50 to 70 white farmers out of the 20,000. Hello? I would say checkmate or mic drop, baby. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I don't think there's anything else needs to be said. I'm gonna put that out as a clip. We'll see if there's any interest in that clip, but it needs to be said. This is one of the worst moments for Trump, I think. I think it's embarrassing. Once again, just say you're doing your friend Elon a favor. Jesus Christ. It's a shame you send Michael Singleton and you send Scott Jennings out and they have to defend this crap. That's why it's better to be independent, man. Jesus Christ, man. I mean, what I'm saying is they don't have to defend it. They don't work directly for Trump, but I'm saying, you know, the base, they don't want you to be honest. They want you to ride for their guy. It's the independent thinkers. Those are the ones that are willing, just like with Democrats, there are some independent thinkers who are open to be critical of the administration, a Biden administration. Then we got ones that just want you to fall in line. And if you don't fall in line, then you are hateful. You're working against the people and all this stuff. Well, it's just bad when you make it that hard for the people that do support you generally to rock for you. Because it sounds bad, man. I mean, I don't know how you clean it up and make it seem like it's not driven by race. Donald Trump just screwed the pooch on this one. I mean, he's supposed to be the straight shooter. And ain't nothing straight about this. All right, guys, let's go to comments. Who's in the house, Johnson? Who's in the building? We got the informant media in the house. Tim Black versus Anton and Jason Whitlock. Tim wins. Wolfpack. That's it, fam. And I will debate them if they want to. That'd be dope. I look forward to that opportunity. Black Mama says support the show by going to the Tim Black mug shop at timblackmug.com. Thank you. Alonzo said, I grew up in Jim Crow, Georgia. I'm before integration. McIver and the rest of these civil rights hijackers need to be sent back to the 1960s for 20 minutes. Just 20 minutes. BS spirituals. 20 minutes, Johnson. I love it. Thanks, Alonzo. Says, can't stay long, Wolfpack. Always catch it next day when driving. Love to you all. Love you and the fam, Tim. Black Mama, thanks for all you do, too. One love. All right, man. Oz, thank you, brother. Spice Radio in the house. Love the glasses, Tim. Broadcast on point. Thanks, Spice. I appreciate you, family. Black Mamba gave out 5 memberships. Thank you, Black Mamba. Hit the like button, guys, if you're still watching. It helps us in the algorithm. And Trust No Party? I must have hit something. Trust, what's up, fam? Oh, you must like the coverage tonight. Trust always comes through and sprinkle some love on the show. But maybe Trust likes it. I kind of took it in another direction tonight. It was necessary, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I try to cover topics I know my audience wants, but every once in a while I just gotta take a shot and say, you know what, I think this is important, and we'll see. People tune in, they don't. If they do, they don't. You know, we'll see how they feel. But yeah, Trump didn't do himself any favors, even though I think he was doing a favor. All right, people, that's all I got, fam. A great night, I think. Oh shit, they got a new feature, Johnson. Hey, let's do this. I don't know, man. It says live comments will show on the stage. So there was a button here, guys, and I don't think that this option was there before. So I clicked on that I can star important comments to show, remember, discuss them during the show. I saw that. Auto star super chats. I don't know. Oh, I see him on the corner. Oh, here we go. So auto star. Okay. It's so small though, fam. Can anybody see that? It is what it is. Well, folks, it's a new feature I didn't know I had. To show comments live on the screen. Oh, now I'm seeing Wagi and Justice by Karma. Okay. Okay, I like this. This will work. I got to see if there's a way to keep that, to make it more pronounced. But then again, I don't know. Like, people start trolling. I don't know if we want the trolling to get bigger. All right, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you, Buck Bewley and Black Mama, for moderating the show. Thank you, Tim Black Wolfpack. Become a member of the Tim Black Show by going to jointimblack.com. I got number love for you. I'll see you on the next one. Wolfpack. All right, guys, that's it. I got number love. Look, like we always say, don't let anybody take your cornbread. Keep your cornbread, people. What else? Oh, I know what else. Where are my ladies at? Where are my ladies? Oh, there they go. Now, Joe, see you on the next one.